And I will encourage you to ask questions. Stop me if I'm going too quickly. Ask questions if I cover things that are not clear to you. You can also put questions in the chat. I'll do my best to remember to monitor that to grab any questions you may have there. So again, welcome to this help session. I am Dr. Oliver, so I am the instructor of record. I'm the one who's been commenting on your discussion posts and assignments and sending out the announcements and all. The purpose again of tonight's help session is to give you clear direction on the primary source analysis, to assure you that it really is not as complicated as I think some of you all may be tempted to make it, and to ensure that there is a clear understanding of what the expectations are, things I will be grading for, and again, a way that you can earn extra credit on this assignment. So with all of that being said, the first thing that I'm going to do is launch into screen share mode, where you should now see my screen. The very first thing that I want to do here is to negotiate where in the Canvas site that we use for this class, you will be able to find all assignments or all rather instructions relevant to this assignment. So what you're now looking at is the course Canvas page. You're looking at it from the student perspective so that it looks exactly how it would look when it's your turn to negotiate this on your end, this site on your end. To find information about the primary source analysis, as well as to submit the analysis when it's due in April, you will need to click on the assignments link. Clicking on the assignments link, you will notice that there are a couple of assignments. You'll notice here one that says primary source quiz. I'll review that a little bit later on this evening. You'll see another link here though as you scroll that says source approval. I'll be pointing out to you what that's all about as we go along. The link that we're going to be reviewing first is the link labeled primary source analysis essay. I will click on that link. There, here you will see this is also where you will be submitting the assignment once you've completed it. And the first thing you'll notice is that it comes with a complete set of instructions. These same instructions are also embedded in your syllabus. So you might have a passing familiarity with the assignment already. If you're one who tends to thoroughly review syllabi from the classes that you're enrolled in, which is always a good practice to engage in, a good habit to have. But for the benefit of those who may not have done that, this is the time that we're going to, or the time that has been set aside for us to do just what I'm about to do, which is to review these instructions to make sure that you're clear on what you're supposed to do. The key important thing to remember or to keep in mind as you approach this assignment is to understand what a primary source is. I promise you that this assignment will begin and end with your understanding of what a primary source is. In other words, if you do not have a good or clear understanding of what exactly a primary source is, you are going to do this assignment incorrectly. So the first thing we need to make sure we do is to get a clear understanding of what a primary source is so that we'll know exactly what it is that we're supposed to be analyzing. So look at the definition here that's printed on your screen. It says this assignment is designed to acquaint you with primary sources associated with American history. Primary sources are the raw material for historians. These sources include the words of witnesses of events, or as historian Jacques Brizan has called them, the first recorders of events. Examples of primary sources include government documents, some contemporary accounts in newspapers and periodicals, memoirs, letters, photographs, material objects, and diaries, among other types of primary sources that may not be listed. And this will be especially relevant for those of you who may have been assigned a topic related to this class that happened in the later stages of history, later in the 20th century with the advent of things like radio and television. Radio broadcasts can be considered primary sources. Television broadcasts can be considered primary sources as well. So although those weren't listed, depending on what your topic is and depending on the time period that your topic relates to, those things can also be primary sources. Okay, so once we have derived a clear understanding of what a primary source is, here are the steps I have listed towards completion. Once you have received your assigned topic, you will consult the index of your textbook and do background reading on your subject first. Why do I ask you to do that? First of all, I don't want you beating a path to my door, not that I'm not willing to help, but it really would conserve a lot of time if you have some working background knowledge of your topic first versus you immediately turning to Dr. Oliver and saying, well, I don't know what primary source I should use. If you have background information on your topic first, it will give you some ideas as to what kind of primary sources you might find for your assigned topic. So please do background on your topic before you do any research in the TCC database or even asking me for guidance. Once you've done this, once you have done some background reading on your assigned topic first, you can then proceed to step 2. Using the TCC database, find a primary source related to the topic you are assigned. The primary source selected must reflect some aspect of global, cultural, or social diversity. Guys, with that line there, just about any primary source you're going to find on any of the topics that you've been given will reflect this. And this is also why I'm having you all submit sources that you find for my prior approval. I will be able to tell you guys that on the front end. So don't go through mental paces trying to fit this requirement. The most important thing to do is to find a related primary underscore all caps italicized bold-faced primary source. Okay. It says here that this will be addressed in an on-demand library workshop. Well, you guys are actually attending the real-time simulcasted library workshop. This recording will be made available inside of 2 hours once we've concluded here. So that's the workshop that is being referenced there, the thing that you're on now. It says here, your source can be a document, an illustration, a creative work of art, literature, or an audio-visual recording. We already had pretty much covered that when we talked about different examples of primary sources. Okay, step 3, get your source approved. Have the instructor sign off on your source no later than Sunday, February the 28th, which happens to be next Sunday. Now, what do I mean by having your source approved? Well, I'm going to go back to the main assignments landing page. And for this, I will click on where it says source approval. What you're going to do is you're either going to upload a copy or a picture of the source that you wish to analyze. I will then provide feedback as to whether or not this source is approved. Now you will notice you're not earning any points for this. It'll be a matter of whether it's completed or whether it's incomplete, whether you did it or whether you didn't. I can almost guarantee you, however, those students who do not take this step those students who skip this step, don't get their source approved, and go on to complete the analysis without me looking at their source first, it's a 50-50 chance that that source that they pick isn't going to be a primary source. And then the highest grade they'll be able to earn on this assignment would be a 60. And that's, you know, quite a low grade for a project or for an assignment that weighs so heavily into your final average for the class. So we don't want that. That's what we want to avoid. So it's so important that you let me see the source, and I've set as a deadline for you to let me see it so that I can approve it as next Sunday. So I'm going to stop screen share here for just a minute because I'm about halfway through the instructions, because it's a step-by-step roadmap that I've provided, and I'm about halfway through those steps. Does anyone have any questions over anything that I've reviewed so far? I'm monitoring the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat. Does anybody have any verbal questions? You mean I'm explaining it just that clearly? Okay, Sophia asked a question. As far as the database, is there a specific place to look for the primary sources? We're getting ready to cover that. Okay, great question. In other words, Sophia wants to know, where can you find a primary source? We're getting ready to cover that very thing. I just wanted to make sure that everybody is clear thus far. If you all would just do me a favor and just confirm that that you're clear so far by typing the letter Y or yes in the chat, or giving me a thumbs up. You can use one of the emoticons. Okay, thumbs up, a Y, or a yes. Okay, great, great. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. All right, so we're going to move on. Going back to screen share here, I was on step 3. Now I'm going to be on step 4. Now this is the meat of your analysis. It says here to analyze your source in a 2 to 3 page report. This report should be typewritten, double-spaced, and use proper citation. Your report should include the following elements. 1, describe your source and where you found it. What does it say? Who generated the source and what is the relationship to the event described? Who was the intended audience for this source and why do you think this is so? Based on the person's relationship to this source, what biases might the producer of this source have and why? What are the strengths and limitations of the source? In other words, what can this source reveal about a certain event or individual? What questions does this source leave unanswered about the topic is what that should say. That's why I paused there, because that was awkwardly worded. It should say, what questions does this source leave unanswered about the topic, not the source? So please note that correction. I will be sure to correct it as well for those of you who will be watching this recording. Analyze your source in terms of this course. You are enrolled in a U.S. History since 1865 class. So in terms of the fact that you're enrolled in a modern American history course, what does this source demonstrate about that time period of American history, whatever time period your topic happens to relate to? And then finally, how does this source add to your understanding of the topic? Be specific. By taking these questions and answering them in sentence paragraph form such that you have a coherent and complete essay using all the standard conventions of English, answering these questions, you have performed the analysis that I'm asking you to perform. And how your assignment will be graded is noted for you here. 60 points, a demonstrated understanding of the author's relationship to the topic, values, and attitudes. Another 20, gives an ability to adequately place the document within the context of American history. 15 points is going to go for appropriate use of grammar and tone. And then you've got 5, what I call throwaway points on simple things like, was your paper double spaced? Okay, things like that. Your work is due in Canvas on Friday, April the 2nd. And just as is the case with all other assignments and activities in the class, the due date's time is, of course, 11:59 p.m. For extra credit, if you utilize the services of the Writing Center or you use an online writing tutorial service like Smart Thinking, you can, and you produce appropriate proof of that, you can earn 5 extra credit points that can be added to the final grade for your assignment, which makes it possible for you to earn a maximum of 105 on this assignment. Okay, so that's the maximum points that are available. I apologize for the ringing phone. I never get a phone call. No one ever really calls. And of course, they would call during my Zoom. All right, here are the topics lists. So for all who are on tonight's call, I would like for you to review this list to ensure that your name is included. Find your name, and then follow follow the line that your name's on to where the topics are, and that's what you've been assigned as a topic. So your task then, for example, I've got Trevino Haynes on the line. Trevino, your topic is World War I. So your task is going to be to find a primary source related to World War I. And one thing you might notice is all of these topics are very broad. And I made them kind of broad on purpose because I thought it would be easier to find primary sources related to topics that are broad. Evan, your topic is the election of 1960 that pitted JFK against Richard Nixon. So finding a relevant primary source shouldn't be difficult. Katie, you've got the Southern Strategy. So if you don't know what that is, according to the instructions, the first thing you ought to be doing is reading up on the Southern Strategy. You're probably going to find a conversation about that in chapter 30 of your book. That's not something we're going to get to until a little bit later on in the semester. Notice the years, the time span here. So we're right at the 20s and 30s right now. So it's going to be a while before we get to this in class, but feel free to go ahead and read up on that topic nonetheless. Is there anybody, go ahead. Is there anybody who does not see their name or did not get a topic assigned to them of the people who are on this call? Okay, was somebody trying to break through to ask a question? Harley, did you see your topic?
You're talking about my name? I'm sorry, Dr. Oliver.
Yeah, I don't see your name here.
It's Chandrea.
Oh,
I'm sorry for the name thing on there.
Thomas?
Because I logged on through my Google. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say, we have a problem. I have somebody on this call who thinks they're in this class and they're not in this class. So you gave me a heart attack. Okay, so.
I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. So you're there. All right. You've got the Gulf War of 1991. All
Yes.
right. So I think everybody was accounted for. Was there anybody else who everybody saw their topic? Thumbs up. Okay, if you all will give me just 1 second here. There was something that I meant to do that I noticed I haven't done. And it's something that I desperately wanted to show you. So just give me 1 second. I need to make this adjustment real quick, and then we'll continue. I'm still here. Just give me a minute. I knew there was something I would forget. I wanted to upload a sample primary source analysis, so I'm sure that would help. And it's something I thought I could do relatively quickly. If it's something that it turns out that I'm not going to be able to do quickly, then I will just send out an announcement later when it has been done, because I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Some of you probably haven't even had dinner yet. Yeah, okay, that's something I'm going to have to upload for you later. I will upload a sample primary source analysis. I actually meant to do that before our Zoom meeting tonight, but it slipped my mind, but I do intend to provide a sample for you. I have a sample so that you can see how to go about approaching this assignment. Two things, and I'm going to say this as slowly and as clearly as I can, including for those who are going to be watching this recording. One, please do not turn this into a research paper. Okay? This is not a research paper. If you make it a research paper, you will freak yourself out. You will freak yourself out, and you will make this assignment harder than it needs to be. So please, 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 please don't turn it into a research paper. You are doing research in the sense that you're trying to research and find a primary source related to your topic, but you're not doing a research paper. The other thing is you have to make sure that the source you pick, I can't emphasize this enough, is a primary source, because you can find something that's related to your topic, but if it's not a primary source, you're not going to be doing this assignment properly. And again, the highest grade I'd be able to award you would be a 60. So I don't want to scare people, but I want to just make sure that we're clear that you have to, it's imperative and it's important that you find a primary source. So with that being said, the last thing, or one of the last things that we'll now do is to talk about where you can find a primary source, okay? Let me go back to student view here. Okay, because there is one more thing on the Canvas side I want to show you. All right, the easiest thing in the world would be to Google, okay? But I'm trying to train you all on how to use academically apprised sources now that you are, in a college level class after all. So I want you to avail yourself to resources that your student tuition dollars privilege you access to. So what I'm doing at this point is I'm going over to the homepage for the TCC library. And you get to the library's homepage. There's probably easier ways of doing this, but going from the TCC homepage to the library homepage, I simply went over to the pull down menu that enabled me to find that link, and I clicked on it, and now I'm on the library's homepage, okay? Now, what I want to demonstrate at this point are databases. So do you see here where it says search for article? Actually, keep scrolling, sorry. Do you see here where it says A to Z databases? Click on the icon that's labeled A to Z databases. Scroll down to the index where you'll find the label or tab for history. Click on it. And the first thing that you're going to land on is a page labeled Research Guides. Research guides are so very valuable for your work here as history students. It contains all on one page, all the different databases that you can use to help you find a primary source for this assignment, okay? This is what I want you to use versus Google. Now, who would like for me, I'm gonna start screen sharing here, who would like for me to use their topic as a demonstration of how to negotiate these databases to find a primary source? Oh, Evan jumped on that quick. Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas, Evan beat you to it. So I'm gonna use Evan, he was first. Now, Evan, you had World War I, correct?
No, I had the election of 1960 of
right.
JFK and Richard Nixon.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so Evan's topic is one we're going to use. Now, a couple of things here, a couple of cool databases. There's an African American experience one, which you could probably find something there, but you know, since it's not an African American specific topic, that may not be the absolute best one to use. I'm going to use the General American History link here. And that's what I clicked on. And we have the spinning wheel of death. So it's thinking about loading. Check my internet connection. Okay. Notcool.com. I have internet, so it's not me. Oh, there it is. It's coming. It's taking longer than it normally does. Okay, good. There. All right. You'll notice that they've got a topical and chronological arrangement of topics here on its web page, where it says here, notice again, pay attention to the headers, World War II and the Cold War era. So yeah, there's something here that mentions the year 1960. But if I scroll down one more block, one more row, I see here something that says A Nation in Upheaval, 1954 to 1975. And I actually see a link labeled the 60s. So I'm going to click on that link. Now, remember how I said you should do some background reading on your topic first? These overview pages on these databases are also good places to go to review background information on your topic. Now, let me issue a stern warning here. Some students historically in the past have made the mistake of making these overview articles primary sources. This is not a primary source, okay? Let's go through the checklist. It is related to the topic. So Evan's topic was the election of 1960. See here, there's mention of the presidential election of 1960. So it's related to his topic. It checks that box. You found this article on the database, so it checks that box. The main important third box it does not check off, however, is that it's not a primary source. So we cannot use this as an article that we can analyze for the primary source. But it can give us some background information. Now, I'm going to scroll over here and click on the link labeled resources. It tells me I have over 1,000 resources that might be possible things that I can look at for primary sources. Now, let me just point this out to you. If I scroll, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling for anything that might help me to find something that talks about the election of 1960, I could potentially find that, but I want to point something out here. If you notice, let's take this one here where it says advertising. Notice here there's a label and the label says reference article. This tells you what type of source this is. A reference article is not a primary source. Now, there's another way that we can narrow our search for sources related to our topic. We can simply type in the search field what our topic is and see what comes up. Okay, check this out. We went from over 1,000 possible sources to now 273. But again, election of 1960, there's reference article, map, aha. Can a video be a primary source, Evan?
Yes.
It can be if it is, what's the one thing that would make it a primary source?
It has to be documented in the time that it was happening. So
Now,
since it says news coverage.
Okay, so now if I'm to believe how they've gotten this labeled, this could be a potential source that I can use. Let's click on the link. Let's just see what happens. Well, it's in black and white. That's a promising sign.
A record number of Americans, upwards of 67 million, go to the polls to elect the 35th President of the United States.
So this most definitely would be a primary source because it was a newscast from 1960, from the actual year. So I know some of you guys are probably thinking, but it says in the instructions that it had to be a page. That page does not have to be literal. Again, depending on your topic. Ms. Thomas, for example, your topic is the Gulf War of 1991. Your topic is recent enough to where there's going to be plenty of video-based sources that are primary sources related to your topic that you could choose to use. The good news is you only have to pick one source to analyze. The bad news is you only have to pick one source to analyze. Now, why is that bad? Why is that bad news? Is because you have so many things you can possibly choose from until it might be hard to decide. Don't choose more than one though, thinking I'll give you extra credit for extra effort. Don't do that, okay? Only do what you're being asked to do, which is to find one source to analyze. Here's another possibility. It says Kennedy-Nixon presidential campaign debates 1960s. Might speeches be an example of a primary source?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. So this looks to be a transcript of the debates that were held between Richard Nixon and John Kennedy, which were the first televised debates, presidential debates in American history. So that might be something of interest, you going through and reading the transcript. That could be a source. And look, we found this without having to go to Google to do it. Now, let's find something that's, we're not sure whether it's a primary source or not. What about this, this potential source here? It says, as a historian and prize-winning author, advisor to two presidents, and one of the founders of the Americans for Democratic Action, Arthur Schlesinger Jr. was a leading spokesperson for 20th century liberalism. Primary source? Yes, no, maybe so. Is this a primary source? Anybody can answer.
No.
Why isn't it a primary source? What's the clue? What's the giveaway? You're right, but why are you right?
What's your quizzing y'all?
I had it in my head, but I can't really, because like the words are blurry now, so I can't see them.
Oh, yeah, I've been
Oh,
getting
what
that
you-
complaint a lot lately. I don't know what's up with that. What is this source labeled as?
Biography.
So a biography is not a primary source because somebody else wrote it. Now, what would make it a primary source is if it was an autobiography. So if JFK wrote an autobiography of his life, and to the best of my knowledge, he did not, but had he done that, that autobiography would have been a primary source, but biographies are not primary sources. So for Sophia, to answer your question, you go to the library databases in order to find primary sources related to your topic. Most of your databases or most of your, all of your topics, frankly, can be found in this one database, no matter what your topic is. But to switch it up, where it says here, switch database, let me just show you another one. The multi-product homepage, we'll go back to that. I actually did not want that database. This isn't the best way to go about this. Let me go back to where I was. This is the landing page for all history databases. I want to point out one more that I think will help most of you, if not all of you, and that is the New York Times Historical. These contain every article, every editorial, every ad from all the New York Times going all the way back to 1851. So Ms. Thomas, we will now use your topic, Gulf War of 1991. And I'm going to show you how to refine your search. Do you see here where it says publication date? Go to this drop-down menu and scroll down to where it says specific date range. I'm going to say January 1, 1991 to December 31st, 1991. And I'm going to click on things that I think are going to be relevant. So it's going to be an article, an editorial cartoon, a front page article, a letter to the editor, military war news. And let's just use those as filters. Hit search and see what we come up with. Look at that, over 4,000 results. How many sources do you need for this assignment?
1.
Right, so you're in luck. Not being able to find a primary source is not going to be a problem for any of you, okay? And look at the dates. May 91, April 91, January 91, February 91. Was this 30 years ago? That just hit me. Wow. Y'all are getting old. I was in college during the first Gulf War. I was actually in Army ROTC at the time. And I had a very young cousin at the time who would often come and visit me, see me in my college fatigues, my uniform, my ROTC uniform. And she was just convinced that they were going to send her cousin to the war in Saudi Arabia. And she was having all kinds of meltdowns about it in school. I can't believe that was 30 years ago. But you guys get the idea. So we've covered what the assignment is, how you're going to be graded, how you can earn extra credit, and where you can find your primary sources. Are there any questions?
Can we redo the primary quiz? Source quiz? If we took it before the meeting?
I think I set it up for you to have multiple attempts at it, which brings me back to share screen mode. So yes, there is a primary source quiz that is available through Sunday. I'll go in and check the settings. I thought that I gave you multiple opportunities at it. If I didn't, I can adjust that. And then your highest score will be recorded.
So the quiz is just about what we did today in the lecture?
I'm sorry?
Is the quiz just about what we did in the lecture, or what
No,
source?
It's being able to identify what are primary sources and what aren't primary sources. Oh, I did have a sample primary source here that I uploaded. Okay, I'm gonna show you these two things and then we'll be done. It's 7:45 and that's about how long I want it to keep you, 45 minutes. If you click on this link labeled "What is a primary source?" it will take you to a video that you can review. It's about 5 minutes, if that long. You can review this at any time and it's available for your ready reference if you get stuck and don't remember exactly what a primary source is. It can also help you to do the quiz, to complete the quiz. And then finally, I did post a sample primary source analysis. So this is from a actual paper that a student submitted some time ago for the same exact assignment that you have. Her topic was the popularization of TV in the 1950s. And if you click on the link, it will take you to the Word document that is the sample. And what you'll notice, first of all, follow the exact same format that this student used for her paper. So there should be a cover page and it should be formatted the exact same way that you see here. But you'll notice I actually have explanatory notes in the margins that explain why I like what she did. The only difference to formatting that you need to make that is going to be different from what you see here than what I'm asking you to do is I want you to use the MLA style of source citation. The MLA style of source citation. What that student used is what we were using at the time, which is another style of source citation that's a little bit more complicated. Oh, it says the sample paper is not on Canvas. I believe you see it because it's through the teacher view. I actually have that on student view. Or do I? I thought I was back on student view. Yeah, I'm on student view. You're saying it's under undated assignments. Sophia, can you scroll down? This is student view. Use your cursor and scroll down to see the category labeled undated assignments, and you should find it under that. Okay. All right, no problem. All right, any questions? All right, well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to end the recording for the benefit of those who will be watching this later. Again, the recording will be made available inside of 2 hours. That is, if I don't fall asleep. If you don't see it posted by 10 o'clock tonight, then check before noon tomorrow and it will be up, okay? All right, if there are no more questions, I'm going to end.